and I want to now open the new session. It is a keynote session. The subject is about analytics for internal communication. How do you measure the impact of your campaigns? Do you engage the right audience? And for that, we're going to have the testimonials of a Velux and Sodexo. So let me introduce to her Elsa Mélique. So I suppose, Nicolas, that Elsa is going to
yeah, they're here. They just need to click on the button, okay. Share audio. Good. Both Lina and Elsa.
So I will present Elsa and Lynn. Hello, Lynn.
Hello.
Hello, Elsa.
Hello, Elsa.
So Elsa Mélique is the Leadership and Employee Communication Director within Sodexo, global communication team. She joined Sodexo 4 years ago, and since 3 years now, she's in charge of internal communication to senior leaders and all connected employees. Aline Roland is a senior change consultant in a very newly established strategy change and communication department in the Velux group. She handling all the change side of the global digital customer journey program that Velux has put in place. And Nicolas, sorry, Nicolas, I finished with you, but you know, okay. I'm a woman, and
normal.
So Nicolas is the founder and the CEO of Tryane. Tryane is the #1 analytics platform for internal communication professionals. It's the solutions that help internal communication professionals to help them improve the impact of their communication campaigns with really real actionable insights on their performance. And he has a motto, or there's a sentence, and I really like it. So Nicolas, sorry if I steal it for just a while.
It's not mine, so you can.
Okay. Okay. So he says, engage employees. They stay for what they give. Disengage employees stay for what they get. I think we got it. So I leave you the floor for the 40 next minutes. And again, this subject is about the measurement and the impact and the engagement of the right audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elise, and thank you, Lina and Elsa, for joining me on this panel. So first, Elise introduced both of you a little bit, but could you tell us a little bit about your organization, the size, what type of business you're in, and what type of different employees you have? Maybe we can start with you, Elsa, and then you, Lina.
Yeah. Okay, so hello everybody. Hello Lynn, hello Nicolas. Thank you, Elise, for the introduction. So basically, Sodexo is a worldwide leader in quality of life services, which means that we deliver 100 of services around food services, facilities management to different audience and 100 million consumers every day. Sodexo consists today of 400,000 employees throughout the world in 64 countries. Among these employees, we do have a lot of frontline workers for sure. So in my role as a global comms, in the global comms team, I'm addressing what we call the senior leaders of the company, who are the top 1,600 leaders of the company throughout the geographies and the dimension, as well as what we call the all connected employees, which represents 100,000 employees throughout the world. So basically, every employee with an email address.
Great. About you, Lina.
Yeah, well, I'm a senior communications consultant in Velux, and as Elise said, it's a brand new team we have. I used to be a communications advisor in the functional areas of supply and IT&D, but I've recently moved And Velux is, of course, what we sell is daylight and fresh air through a hole in the roof, which we call a window. So you might have noticed us or even slept under our windows when you were a kid. We have around 11,000 employees worldwide, so we're a bit smaller than you are, Elsa. And half our employees are production employees who are completely disengaged or used to be from the digital workplace. And I noticed that Elise mentioned that I work with a digital customer journey. That's actually just one of my tasks. I basically try to get a hold of all the digitalization projects in Velux and do the change management and change communication. And my baby is a project of getting all our production employees on board our digital workplace. It's been running since 2018, and it's a tough job to get all of them on board, but it really pays off because we can see the engagement level raise as we invite them into Teams and Yammer and everything else on their own mobiles. So it's really an interesting project for me.
So that's an interesting point because you're both mentioning your first line workers as being very important. And I'd like to talk about the mission of Internal Com as you see it. Why is it important to have these first line workers informed and engaged? Is it related with your global mission? I would imagine so, but how do you relate your mission and reaching this type of employees?
So I go first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so as I told you, in my role, I'm not addressing directly frontline workers. We are providing in the context of our multi-dimensional communications team in a matrix organization. We are providing our colleagues in the business units and in the regions toolkits, materials when preparing global campaigns such as the engagement survey campaign, for instance. We are providing toolkits with collaterals that can be then adapted and reused in the countries, and that can be displayed on site. So that's the way we can address from a global comms team our people in the front line. But basically, on a more intellectual level, I would say that I think that of course we're here to convey information, but I think internal comms is also here to break down barriers, silos, and to cultures also, because when you're working in one company like Sodexo with very strong value, with a clear mission of improving quality of life, that's a common company culture, but it's very different and can mean a lot of different things if you're doing that in North America compared to Asia or Russia, for instance. So basically, as a global comms team, we're here to find the right framework and to equip the team to ensure that the global spirit and values and culture of the company is well shown and demonstrated whatever you are, whatever you do, and yes, anytime.
Great. And you, Lena, do you use middle management to reach the first line workers, or you try to reach them directly and engage with others? What's your strategy with them?
Well, basically, we do all of it. Our strategy, communication strategy, is to, like Elise said, or I think it was Patrick who said, engaged employees stay for what they give, disengaged employees stay for what they get. I really like that quote, and that's the same as we experience. And our key role in the communications department is to engage people and make sure they work efficiently and that they know the direction and the changes that are coming. So that's what we work with, and we have had years of a lot of work, a lot with digital workplace and with digital communication, and also with line communication. And I think what we've seen is that it's worked in regards to the frontline employees, that it's worked engaging them more in the digital workplace. It's been easier to engage them. We've had some really serious problems with attracting and retaining people in our production sites, especially in Eastern Europe. And we just saw that what the development we saw with us in offices, that we got more engaged as we could reach out to each other on the digital platforms. We just thought maybe it could be the same for the frontline workers, and so we tested it, tried it out, and it really works.
So that's a great transition. Which channel do you use?
It's up to the general managers of each factory to decide which channel they want to use. So they usually choose between Yammer or Teams to onboard people, and we do recommend using Yammer because it's easier to onboard people. I see more business potential in Teams, but engaging people and getting them on board is easier with Yammer. And then we slowly loop them into our SharePoint-based intranet, and then Teams and Planner and To-Do and
so
whatever they prefer.
You don't have any paper in the factory or by the coffee machine or any digital screen? Or...
Oh yes, we do have info screens, but we'd like to get the dialogue. And we did some interviews with with some production employees initially when we started up the 2 pilots, and what they said was that they just really wanted to be part of the Velux family, and they wanted to have the same opportunities as the rest of us and contribute and engage themselves and hear what's going on, be part of the social stuff. And a board on the wall or an info screen can't really accommodate for that need.
Yeah, the info screen gives them the information, but there is no way to get their feedback or.
And usually in some of the factories, they sit outside in the summertime during their break, so they don't even see the info screens. But that's I can tell you they are on social media.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And what about you, Elsa? How do you manage reaching all these different employees? What kind of tools do you use, and how do you orchestrate all these tools?
For the senior leaders of the company, we do have like a structured comms infrastructure with several channels that we see as a global ecosystem. So we do have push mail, socials, webinars through team live events, Yammer, videos. So tons of tools. We are trying to think of these tools really as an ecosystem, because we don't want just to copy and paste, for instance, something we do have in our newsletter every fortnight with Yammer. It doesn't make sense, and I like the fact that we are on the same page with Lynn with the fact that Yammer is really to encourage dialogue. We don't see Yammer as a top-down channel, but comm is here, internal comm is here for us to ease the adoption and show the value and the potentials that Yammer has, but definitely not a top-down channel. So that's for senior leaders. And then for the global connected employees audience, we do have a global campaign, as I told you, with several tools and channels. But basically, yes, we are focusing a lot on Yammer and on the development and adoption of the social network. And if there is always one silver lining in the worst situations, and we saw last year in the midst of the pandemic that people were really happy to find Yammer as a place to get together and as a place to feel that they belong to the company. So we saw a really net increase in the use of Yammer last year.
Great. And if I recall our discussion, you see Yammer kind of like as the coffee corner where employees can get together. So that's the virtual coffee corner where they can talk about. Actually,
last week I was on a call with one of our region leadership committee, which was reflecting on the use of the different Microsoft tools, and they were like, but what's the difference between Teams and Yammer? Basically, it's just a place we can chat, we can have groups, it's the same. And I was like, so that's very easy, very simple. So Teams is the meeting room, and Yammer is the coffee corner. And oh God, we've missed so much our coffee corner since a year.
That's true. That's a
Can
great
I
way to put it.
Nicolas? And it's actually, I think Yammer is of course the coffee corner, but I also like using Yammer to create communities that can create change.
Absolutely.
So, for example, have a change that I need to push, for example, the digital workplace and production, or the Globis, as it's called, our digital customer journey, which are two huge projects. I like to create a Yammer group to empower and engage the ambassadors or change agents that we use. And then yes, it's a social coffee corner, but it's also where you make them connect across the globe and make sure that they are able and engaged in creating the change locally.
But just yes, I just want to specify that when I say that, that's in a very positive way, because I think that great things happen at the coffee corner, and of course it's a place where we can build communities of interest, and we can help to drive the change and the company, the culture and the strategy for sure, and yes, I fully agree with you on that.
And you mentioned, Lina, that you mentioned ambassadors, and the session just before us was all about ambassadors and how you can use them to boost your message. And how do you identify those people? Do you do that based on the organization chart? Do you do that based on if they're tech savvy? Do you identify them because they're already very active on the social network, and you've considered that there are like hubs, social hubs, or what's your take on that?
I do that in different ways. For example, if you think about the project of onboarding all our production employees, because I like that project because it's the hardest I've ever tried. So I like the challenge, and what we did there was to ask the local management teams to point out people on the production floor who were sort of outgoing fireballers, not necessarily digital savvy, but at least not afraid of it, and also some that were a little bit skeptical, because if you convince them, then they are really good at convincing the rest of the employees, their colleagues. So we onboard them, and we train them, and we give them a bus, a T-shirt, throw a little party, and basically try to engage them as much as possible. And then we also appoint influencers. I noticed there was a talk about in the last session about the difference between influencers and ambassadors. And our influencers in the production is people, mainly white collars, who have something on their mind to communicate. That's something that the employees really want to hear about. So it could be that they are safety coordinators, or quality or lean coordinators. So they have a subject they are responsible for, and also getting them on board and training them on how to communicate on the social media, on Yammer or Teams, and basically helping them get started, because then you have those that have something interesting that people want to hear about, and you have the ambassadors that help their colleagues in production to onboard, and not just the digital part of it, but they also sit at the coffee in the coffee break and say, "Hi, guys, have you seen this on Yammer? And you've seen this funny video, or read what our GM says," or just helping them and getting interested and getting on board.
Interesting. And you, Elsa, how do you identify your ambassadors, influencers?
I like the fact that Lina mentions the difference between influencer and ambassador. It makes a lot of sense, I think. So basically our approach here, have been to focus on two types of Yammer leader. Basically, our top leaders, we spend a lot of time embarking our COMEX and some of our top leaders in the Yammer journey, because basically, and again, during the crisis, we saw that people needed to hear from the top. So ensuring the presence of some of our top leaders regionally and globally was really essential to lead the way and to drive this cultural change and to embark people basically. And then we also identified according to their influence on the platform people who could be great levers to increase the level of discussion and engagement on several or different communities.
Interesting. And that's a great transition about analytics and what you're measuring. And you just specified that it's important that you see the impact that a message generates, especially on Yammer, where it's much more easier to see than on the other channel. Which kind of KPIs are you looking at mostly, and why? Let's say Elsa, because you were talking, we changed the order.
I would say that we are measuring a lot the activity, and I keep challenging myself on the right KPIs because generally speaking, I think we can have a lot of KPIs, and at the end of the day, I don't want just to display a list of items on the performance. I want these figures and indicators to make real sense. So I think that we must regularly ask ourselves, are my KPIs the right ones, according to the evolution of the tool and the situation and the communications possibilities. But basically today on Yammer, of course, the active users, the active conversations, and the number of interaction. I'm not really much into the engagement rate, because I don't think that's always a good indicator. I know that a lot of people are asking for that beyond comms, I mean, but I'm way more focused on the active conversation because I prefer quality versus quantity. So my challenge is not only about having every single Sodexo employee on the platform. I want the platform to be alive.
Interesting. And Lina?
Yeah, well, I think and my focus is, of course, mainly on the frontline employees here, and I think that's it's a long journey, and we are not so mature yet that we can actually afford to look at the quality. So we're starting up just. Our first KPI was to get around 60% of our production employees just on board, get them to onboard Yammer or Teams, and that's hard enough. And that's our overall KPI, and we're well on the way. Actually, right now we're almost there, and I think that's what we can reach because we don't hand them a phone; they have to use their own. And they have to use the breaks and their spare time to access the digital platform. They can't do it while they're standing at the machinery, of course. But we also have, we ask each factory to set up their own KPIs for how much engagement they want to see. And we actually use Tryane, the Tryane tool for that. And I don't know if you can see, if it's possible to see. We have.
I didn't plan a live demo, but it's.
Can you see it? It's my dashboard, and it's, of course, it goes on the active users benchmark, and it's really easy for all the. We have around 80 community managers all over Velux, and we have around 1,200 Yammer groups. And each Yammer group owner has access to Tryane and can see this temperature, what's it called, performance board here, dashboard.
The gauge, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you said that you every factory can set kind of like the threshold that they want to reach.
Yeah.
You help them. You tell them, well, an average factory should have that many users on Yammer, and how do you help them promote Yammer to the first line workers? Because, like you said, they need to take time on their break. They need to take their own phone, and what's in it for them, you know?
Yeah, well, basically, it's a lot of tricks and tips and experiences from the other factories. What works, what doesn't work. But we started off when we did the pilot a few years ago by asking the employees what they were interested in, and they said social stuff. We want to get cheap concert tickets at the same time as the white collars. They want to know about the state of the business from their GM, what's going on, what's the future within manufacturing, things like that. And then all the social stuff also celebrate, we're very lean, and they are measured on their contribution to continuous improvement ideas. And they would like to see what's happened to my idea, and if it goes through, then celebrate it on Yammer. So that's what we know works. And then we've also seen some really creative things here during Corona. We've seen vlogs by general managers who was walking around in the empty production halls and just making a video and posting it on Yammer saying, guys, I really miss you. See how empty it is. We've had virtual cocktail courses for production employees. We've had what I attended a few weeks ago on one of the factories that we just onboarded was a concert with a local band that is highly popular, and it was awesome. I tell you, did
you stream it live? Did you stream the concert live?
Live streaming, but you had to access Yammer to attend. So we went from...
So it was a live event inside Yammer?
Yeah, we went from 20 to 80% within 1 week because everybody wanted to go in that concert. And they were given a little bag with some popcorn and beers, and then they were in the concert and they were chatting in Yammer. And I was there too, and it was awesome, I can tell you. Just seeing the happiness and of a very forgotten group of employees.
Yeah, so it's really a very great way to bring people together and remind them that you're sharing the same culture and you're in the same organization. It's great. Yes. That's the first time I hear that used for a live event. It's mostly the CEO talking about the quarter in most of the companies, but it's interesting. And that was also one question I had about if you were using live video, live streaming session in Yammer, and to do what? And maybe Elsa, I think you have, or maybe you had some technical issue with live event in Yammer. I don't know if it's fixed by your IT.
So basically, we had our first live event with our CEO. Sorry, Nicolas.
No, but it's most of the time it's the same.
It was not about. It was in the senior leadership community, which is not the easiest community within our company. But it was a great success. It was not really about our results. It was more like a really open conversation. There was no agenda to the live event. Denis Michel just came for an open conversation. We had prepared several questions to share under the stream for people to share their business successes, what they have noticed from competition. So basically it was a very interactive conversation, but like what we call a connection session we normally do with 10 people with our CEO on Teams. Here it was a live conversation on Yammer. And we do every year, we didn't do it last year, but we used to do every year a global broadcast event for the whole company, frontline workers included. We do a lot of activities on Yammer during this event. plenty of pictures from people on site sharing the event, sharing that they watched the live broadcast all together. So very heartwarming. One day I would love being able to stream through Yammer, but today it's not feasible because we are too big. Basically, last time 2 years ago we had around 60,000 people connected to the event. So it's not feasible today on Yammer, but one day I'd love to do that.
Yeah, it's great, and it's actually a great use case about not when you're hosting a live event, not being a live event about one CEO or one guy from the top management talking all the time, but more a conversation where people can ask directly questions. It's even quicker than, and that's a great use case of Yammer, where any first line employees could probably answer a post from the CEO and feels there's less barrier and flattens the organization. But it's even more live during a live event where directly he can address any question he has, and I think it's a great way that this person feels that she's connected to the top management because she can talk to the top management directly. So that's a great use case.
I don't think, based on our experiences, we have 8 languages in Velux, and there's a very long way from a production company to our headquarter, and we have specifically not we're not pushing any corporate communication out to the factories, because they would like to. We sometimes send a video or such, but we like the general manager in the company to be what they see as their CEO, because it's too far away, and they don't understand the language anyway.
But for instance, for our live broadcast, Lina, what we do is that last time we did four broadcast sessions during a day, and we regionalized each session. So basically our CEO was there for every session. It was the same program, but we customized and regionalized each broadcast with the region leaders, with regional employees. We have live translation. So that's a big and a heavy event.
That's a good idea.
I was going to say, your CEO speaks all these languages, or?
No, we have live translation.
Yeah, you have live translation.
So basically, we had 8 or 9 languages last time.
And does the live translation work? We've had some problems with every time our CEO says Velux, it translates to Philips.
Oh no, we built a sort of dictionary for all the translators, so they know our jargon. They have to respect some words, and they are briefed beforehand.
Okay, cool.
But it's I see Elise is back online, so I'm pretty sure our time is up. I just wanted to mention that it's very important to get top management on board in these tools, because in the Yammer benchmark we did last year, for the last year 2020, organization who engage their top management in Yammer have twice the engagement of others. It's both a great tool for top management as personal branding and being able to share their idea with everyone, but it also really brings the community together.
Agree.
I can actually
We're
see
done, Elise, your turn.
I can actually see the difference in some of the factories where we don't have where the general managers are not so present, that the engagement level is lower than in those production factories where we have managed to really engage the management layer. So I can really support that.
Yeah, it's very important.
Before we end this session, I got several questions. I don't know why, but the video it's freezed. But I'm here and I can see you.
We see you.
Yeah, it seems that I'm not alive, but I am. Okay, I got several questions. Lynn, you shown us the screen, and then it was really interesting to see all these elements. Is it transparent for all the dashboards? Do every person see exactly the same things, or is it kind of clustered for one community to another?
every owner of a community can see the dashboard of their own community, what they administer. But I have a special access, so I can see everything. So I of course have my dashboard with all my factories.
Okay.
Follow what's going on.
And you were talking about a benchmark. Is it a benchmark between those internal communities, or is it open to the outside world? That means, for instance, how does it work exactly?
It's the benchmarking against the internal communities of the same size, and if it's whether it's a private community or a public community. And I use it a lot also to advise the general managers. And for example, if they forget to, one of them has a blog, and he forgets sometimes to write. And then I can see the engagement level going.
Oh, okay.
Either I reach out to him and say, "Hey, didn't you forget something?" Or you will see the production employees asking in the, "Christian, are you still there? We miss your insights and your stories."
Yes, that's very interesting. There were also some questions about, at the very beginning of these communities, whatever Yammer, Teams, whatever the tool is, did you use some design thinking principles? It's true that when we look at the design thinking, it's, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. That would really fit into this philosophy. How did you start working on the communities?
I go first.
Yeah.
So basically, we had a look at the existing communities. So that was the first point, because we really didn't want to go into a too much comms-driven platform. So the idea was really to map the different existing communities. Then we looked for communities which were aligned with our company strategies and our fundamentals and values. We were looking for these communities to find if there were illustration of our main messaging at global level. And then, yes, we looked for regions and global communities, such as senior leaders community, digital transformer community, which is a very active community on Yammer at Sodexo, with all the innovation and transformation process. So basically, it was more like mapping the communities with the matrix organization in mind, between business units, dimension, region, and main topics, strategic topics.
Okay, very interesting. Line, do you want to add something?
Yeah, we started up in 2014, so it was very early days, and the thought of communities were not so mature. So we basically just jumped in and played around. We were just lucky, I think, because we started up a new intranet at that time and placed Yammer on the front page and made sure that every employee in Velux belonged somewhere in a Yammer group that was campus oriented. So when you opened the intranet, there was this Yammer group, and it was all about canteen menu. There's a car with light on, blah blah blah. Everything you feel safe, so you can go in and start chatting. And then from there, we just built it up and started advising functional areas, leadership teams, projects, and we've basically been very open. Everybody can create a group. So we also got the bowling club pets in Velux. That was really a high performer at the time. So everything is possible. We don't. We have no governance. If a group seems dead, then we ask the administrator to either close or create some activity in there.
Okay, and then you were talking about governance just right now. Is it so I understand that at the beginning there were no really governance, but is it something that you have worked on since then?
No, not really.
No, not really.
No.
Okay.
It's open to everybody, and we do have some more formal Yammer groups or Yammer communities that are, for example, the CEO Connect and the Peter's Christmas Corner, which belongs to our CFO. And we have some news from the intranet. So there, and then there are some groups for each functional area that you just need to follow. But apart from that, it's very much just living a life on its own. And it's not. People were frustrated in the beginning on what to use for when and how, but they got used to it. It's like in the outside world, you also follow and unfollow Facebook groups. You use Snapchat for one thing and Messenger for another, so you find your way.
Okay, very interesting. Again, we are running out of time, and then I'm sorry. There's still some questions, though. I invite you to look at the chat and answer to the people who have asked questions. Thank you very much. Very interesting. And it's true that I remember when I was at university, Peter Drucker saying that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it, and it's so true. And it's even true in communities. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, bye-bye.
Thank you, Lina and Elsa, for pitching.
Come on.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.